How about now? I suppose people could probably hear me now as I'm fiddling around with everything. I was just saying that all of my settings were set for a different channel and for doing recordings and everything. It obviously came up the title as Victory in Canada, so I had to go in and adjust that. And in upgrading my computer, it apparently forgot what my microphone was, so I had to redo that. Should be going good now. Do I have audio now? I got a thumbs up, so hopefully that's good. Do I have audio now? Yeah, I do have audio. Does it sound okay? Or is all my settings all messed up? All right. Everybody can hear me. Well, that's good. I just wanted to do a touch-up stream. Test everything out, see how everybody is doing. As you can see, I'm hanging out on the moon. And there's a reason for that, because we're going to talk maybe a little bit about Tesla. This guy, you know, everyone loves Elon, especially over, you know, in the cryptocurrency world. Everyone loves Elon Musk, and of course, everyone wants to say, you know, he's Tony Stark and all this stuff. And you look at the things, the guy, you could say Tesla, the car company, is arguably successful, but he does all these other things too that are all totally bogus. And I thought it was funny, his newest thing is coming out with a robot worker to replace people. I was like, what a great guy. I just wanted to bring it up because it was on the Drudge Report there. And, you know, you guys realize this is nonsense, right? Elon Musk before had said, you know, of course his SpaceX program is total nonsense. Him launching a Tesla around Earth is total nonsense. Total fake. Him having a brain probe thing that you can control devices using your brain is total nonsense. It's all phony. And now he's doing the robot thing. And it's like, is there anything that Elon doesn't do at his company, right? Apparently not. Apparently not. So we'll take a look at this. The sci-fi fantasy writer. Well, it was I forget who wrote the book. Oh yeah, it was the German scientist who was also an officer in the army there in 1945, who was a rocket man who had a book. Who the main character, his name was Elon, and Elon went to Mars. You know, it's probably just a coincidence. It's just kind of interesting. But everything about the guy is a fraud, and you need to be careful about these crazy technologies that are coming out that seem like movie stuff. Trust me, they're movie stuff. You know, I talk about how much progress that they're making with their AI robot, and as we can see in the picture here. We've got a world built by humans for humans. It's a friendly robot. Don't worry, guys. It's a friendly robot. Eliminates dangerous, repetitive, and boring tasks. What do you think one of these robots costs? You know, like $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, as opposed to paying somebody over in Asia, you know, a nickel an hour. What do you think is more likely? I thought it was very interesting that they have the head blacked out on a black background. So it's just a automaton thing. And it's like, I kind of think with that is just the robot is just a symbol of people today. My own personal opinion, but I don't know. It's just eliminates dangerous, repetitive, and boring tasks. Yeah, you're going to risk your $500,000 robot on something dangerous. I don't think so. Why aren't these things flying to Mars? Old Elon said we're headed to Mars, right? I don't know what else is new in the news. I don't really have too much. It's been a really busy day for me, and I'm amazed that my computer went together. Oh, if you have to order any parts from China, I suggest you get on the list. Order whatever Amazon has in their warehouse. Otherwise, you probably won't be able to get it for a month. I ordered just some computer memory, which I could have ordered off a dozen different websites. And they said, don't worry, it's coming, it's coming. And then, well, if it shows up, let us know. Well, you can cancel the order if it doesn't show up, by a certain date, right? So just to let you know, a heads up. And the costs are going to go up for the stuff coming from China by a bit because they got the sniffles over there, and they want to give a big giant bird to America, and say, nah, we're gonna let you. We're gonna put the squeeze on America and say we have the sniffles, and we're gonna close all of our ports down that nonstop shipping, GI Joes to America and cheap crap. And somebody got the sniffles, who was vaccinated, by the way. And so they shut the whole thing down. 2 different ports. So 70% of their shipping is done for 2 weeks. And then a few days later, somebody got the sniffles in one of their cargo things. So they shut down all of their airports. Airports that are like hundreds of miles apart from one another. And they closed down 2/3 of them. So they wouldn't be shipping stuff out. So yeah, you may wanna order your cheap stuff from China while you got the chance, while you can still get a hold of the stuff that's sitting in an Amazon warehouse somewhere. 6 people in chat and only 2 viewers. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube does. It's probably because I'm not using StreamYard and I'm actually using software on my computer to do the streaming these days. Roderick says he has to stay in the news to sound or feel relevant. Well, there's no question that Elon Musk is a narcissist. But I think that the powers that be need to keep him in the news to keep people hopeful and keep their imagination soaring and think of what things are possible. Only Elon can, right? And they kind of did the same thing back in the 50s with the sci-fi shows when science fiction started, with War of the Worlds on the radio. Threatening alien apocalypse and things like this. Then you go on to all these other 50s sci-fi programs, and you've got Doctor Who, and you've got all of these, Star Trek, of course, all of these long-running things to keep people's not grounded in any sort of reality, but in, space. That, I think that Star Trek, originally when it came out, completely bombed, and this is just my opinion, is because their target demographic at the time probably knew the world was flat. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there that the people, you'd have to be a real little kid at that time not to believe or understand that the Earth is flat. Just my thing, but yeah, you have to keep people thinking that people are advancing in technology and things are going to get better. Otherwise, they lose hope. So you got to throw Elon up there going, don't worry, guys. If you hate your job, you can buy a robot and they can do your job for you, right? You're going to do that. Yeah, Elon Musk and his wonderful technology and his electric cars to save the world and save the environment. The problem is that anytime his cars hit something, they explode into a fireball that cannot be put out, to where the firefighters have to call Tesla company and say, how do I put out one of your batteries? Because we can't put it out. It's been burning for 4 hours. We can't put it out. It reignites. What are we supposed to do? Okay. So his wonderful cars. And, I think, of course, there's a waiting list to buy Tesla cars. From what I hear, they're wonderful cars until you hit something with them. They're wonderful cars, but it's like the guy sells like, a couple dozen cars a year and calls himself a car company. How can he stay in business? Government contracts, right? So the whole thing is kind of a sham. I think that if his cars were actually released like a Ford, right? A Ford car, a normal car, or a Chevy, even Chevy Volt, right? I think that there'd be a lot more problems with his cars than what's reported, because there's not very many of these things out on the road. And this guy is landing stuff on Mars, or going to be landing stuff on Mars. He's got rockets that defy laws of physics, scientific laws, right? Laws. Where he's landing rockets, on the butt end. And it's all make believe. All make believe. What do we got here? I don't really want to talk about Twitter yet. I do want to talk about this because I know I did talk a little bit about, when the whole Capitol thing was going on and kind of how hilarious it was. Remember there was a lady who supposedly got shot there and they actually had video footage of it and all this stuff. Well, the officer who shot the lady had been exonerated after an internal probe. An internal probe, right? There isn't going to be a criminal investigation. There isn't going to be anything. And, it's the whole story is bogus, guys. When I talk about this, understand that this woman is like an actor or never existed or whatever. The whole thing is nonsense. But let's pretend that everything happened the way they said. And, it's my opinion. Maybe everything happened the way that they said. But you're going to come out and say that, oh, the officer was justified in an internal investigation and we're not releasing his name. So the family apparently, this person is suing and all this and they can't get the names out. And it's like, you have like a court case and you've got things going to court, then you have to have the name. And he's a public servant, you have to have the name. That's why the guy doesn't exist. None of this exists. But it's like, why would you have a news story like that the cop was exonerated, except unless to rile people up? And my own crazy wild hair idea is this person was supposed to be the trigger to start a real riot, an actual riot, where the conservative people out there, the Trump supporters, were actually going to do something and like wreck the Capitol building. And they didn't. They all just kind of stood there. They all just kind of went, huh. Now, no one even really ran. It was kind of an odd thing. Like everyone knew it was kind of fake. I don't know. I'm sure I'll get some nasty emails from the people saying that their sister's cousin's brother's kid or something, and I knew her and they were a wonderful person and all this. But yeah, in real life, it doesn't happen where a cop shoots somebody and they just don't release the guy's name. He's a public employee, public servant who is insured and licensed and everything through the public. Granted, it's Washington, D.C., and it's not really a state and all this other stuff. But you have to sue somebody. That goes to court. That's part of the public docket. The only exception to that is when you're protecting the name of somebody like a child. Right? So, yeah. That's a nonsense case. Well, that's just kind of funny that they're brazen enough to say, yeah, we had an internal investigation and we decided he's fine. We didn't find anything. Old Elon. There's an interesting thing on Reddit that's probably from a while ago, but I just simply typed in, Elon Musk is a fraud. And I've done that before. If you look into his backstory for like 30 seconds, the companies that he runs he was given money to invest in them. So he's credited with being the founder of PayPal. It's like, well, somebody gave him money and he invested in it. That's what happened. And the people who ran PayPal threw him out after that. And like Tesla, he bought that company from the people who made the Tesla car. And the story goes on and on and on. But we can look at some of his predictions and some of the things that he says. Remember, he's controlling things with his brain. He's apparently, landing rockets that defy physics all the time now. His Starlink satellites are apparently those little streams of the streamers across the sky you see that provide wireless service, wireless internet access. Those are apparently 300,000 miles away, guys, or 300,000 feet away, supposedly, if you want to believe that. And every rocket he sends up, he launches out like 65 new rockets or 65 new satellites on each individual rocket. That's what he says he's doing. He is not launching balloons in the desert with NASA. Whatever you think, he's not doing that. Not doing it. So anyways, we'll look at some of his, predictions up here. This is the kind of things that he tweets out, to try and, again, remain relevant. Elon Musk says SpaceX will send people to Mars by 2025. Well, Elon, if he is such a smart guy, doesn't he know that NASA says that they cannot get out of low Earth orbit? NASA says that they cannot get into space with a manned flight. That's why they're not going back to the moon. So shouldn't you go to the moon first, Elon? I don't know. I don't know. He plans to send rocket to Mars by 2018 and a manned mission by 2024. Well, missed that one. A lot of 2024s, a lot of 2020s. Elon Musk unveils Mars plans this year, wants to go to space by 2020. Well, I guess he went to space, right? He went to a space in his studio and recorded a Tesla pretending to float through the air. Just, I'm on the moon right now. Just let you know. Elon Musk said Tesla vehicles will drive themselves in 2 years, and this was back in 2015. They're doing a bang-up job, literally, aren't they? Bang-up job. And, the reason that this is catching flack, actually, the reason why Tesla is catching flack in here is because when you go down here, states are suing him because Teslas have a nasty habit of, if they're going to run into something, they're going to run into a police officer, apparently. That's where Tesla has a huge problem, where cop pulls somebody over and a Tesla just slams right in the back of them. Whoops. Whoops. Self-driving cars, though, guys. Self-driving cars. Oh, yes. Elon Musk predicts Tesla will have an electric vehicle capable of driving 1,200 kilometers on a single charge by 2020. Oh, I don't think so. I don't know. Like I said, now he's got robots or whatever. He looks spooked. He's got his headless robot or his spray-painted robot. And, this is like, if anyone's ever looked into any of this stuff, when you see like what the military is doing and they have some autonomous machines, they have some, it's not like body armor, but it's like a cage to assist somebody in like lifting heavy loads and things like that. And they're doing a lot of trial and research at that. And the military has been at that for 25 years. Okay. And it looks really cool, right? Looks really cool. The guy could pick up a car and all this stuff. What they never show you off screen is like the 20,000 horsepower diesel engine that's powering it. Okay. They never show you that. They never show you the big, thick cables that are plugged into this suit to power it. Do you realize you take that cable out of the suit and you put a battery pack on there, you've got about 5 minutes where your $20 million exoskeleton suit is actually useful. You got about 5 minutes. So what are you going to do with this thing? I mean, number one, they haven't figured out balance. So you can't have a human looking robot. It ain't going to work. Too hard to balance. You'd spend all of your power just trying to keep your balance. You wouldn't be able to do anything. But I digress. I'm a science fiction guy, so I look into how real any of these things actually are. And this is completely ridiculous. They probably have a really skinny guy inside that suit, who's just moving it. They have like a mime or something. Elon Musk and his mimes. Heavily invested in mimes. Bacon toast, how's it going? Roderick, you know someone who knows someone on Facebook that knows her? That's how it goes. I think she's on my friends list too. Just a wonderful woman, so caring and thoughtful, right? That's what you always hear. People love Elon Musk, but the guy's a fraud and a crook and overrated. Yeah, he is a fraud and a crook. The one thing I can appreciate about Elon is he doesn't play the part very well. I think he kind of does it intentionally, and occasionally he tips people off. When he said, obviously, the Tesla roaming around the Earth is real because it looks so fake. Okay, that was meant to come off as like a quippy, smart remark, but no, that was tipping people off. He could have said nothing. right? He could have said, "Wow, isn't it amazing?" And he could have droned on and 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 on about the miraculous technical achievements that SpaceX has done, and it was only with the help of NASA and some very key individuals that we're all very proud of that we were able to launch this Tesla. And, you know, we actually wanted to put people up there, but unfortunately, we wanted to test the technology first, and we figured, hey, what better marketing ploy than Tesla, and blah, blah, blah. And he could have done that because that's what CEOs do. Okay? He didn't do that. He sat there, looked kind of glum, and was kind of, haha. Yeah, you know it's real because it looks so fake. Ha ha ha. You know? He tips people off. I can get behind that. Get behind that. You know, I mean, if you're in that position, it's like, well, do you want all the money or not? I mean, he obviously wanted it. He had like all sorts of reconstructive surgery. Revelation is that Elon who fire to rain down on the sight of men. Well, he causes a lot of BS to rain down. Putting on a good show with miracles. Yeah, like a Hollywood movie. I haven't seen anything that he's done with his companies that is really groundbreakingly marvelous. I mean, a self-driving car is kind of okay if it didn't kill people all the time, right? And I've ridden in them, and you definitely want to be behind the wheel when it decides to do its thing. Yeah. Neat. Yeah, where Elon Musk said advancing AI was like summoning a demon. Well, in one of his notorious quotes back here in like 2015, oh yeah, here it is. Elon Musk fears and predictions. So from 2014, Elon Musk worries Skynet is only 5 years off. Well, as far as anyone knows, he's the one who would be leading the charge, right? But obviously Skynet hasn't happened. Although you could say the old Bitcoin is kind of doing that, is kind of taking over the world. Not in a way that the big boys want, though. Artificial intelligence will turn deadly in 5 years. It's probably from the same quote. Yeah, nothing else very exciting from Elon Musk quotes. But I like this thing here where what are you going to do when all the people get wiped out from getting their gene therapy? Well, we'll replace you with robots. Sorry, guys. People are way cheaper and way more disposable than a very high-tech piece of machinery. Just how it is. Just how it is. John Paley says, how come when the moon and sun are high in the sky, you see a partial moon? Right. Exactly. And you see that all the time in the summertime. You'll see a half moon in the sky with the sun, and no one thinks anything of it. Like, well, there goes your entire thing. I mean, unfortunately, people are a little too dumb these days. But the most compelling evidence is just simply the fact you cannot have an atmosphere next to a vacuum. Okay? It violates the second law of thermodynamics. There's a law. I don't know what that means. Okay. I have a can of Diet Coke. Okay. The second law of thermodynamics and fluid dynamics says that there's pressure in here, and when I release the pressure, the gas inside wants to find an equilibrium with the outside. It doesn't want to be pressurized. That's what the second law says. It doesn't want to be pressurized. So, in order to pressurize something, it demands that you have a container for the gas. Well, if the old Earth there is a spinning ball, and it has no container, what is stopping the atmosphere from getting sucked into space, which is a near perfect vacuum? The second law of thermodynamics demands that happen. And that's all there is to that. All there is to that. Bacon toast, they will say because of gravity, because they don't want to. Person will say because of gravity, even though they know themselves that makes no sense. Okay. They know themselves that makes no sense. But people will say gravity because you just proved to them that the earth is flat. That's why they have to say gravity. Otherwise, their mind would snap, and then that would be the end of it. And some people just ain't strong enough to handle that. But yes. And the idea, and here is why gravity can't do it, okay? Number one, gravity has never been proven to exist ever. Gravity is an idea or a theory describing an effect that they witness. They see something drop to the ground and then they say, well, there's this magic pixie farts that makes that fall to the ground. And that's how that works. And we call it gravity. Okay, well, how does that work? And they go, well, you see, the closer you are to the mass or the center of the earth, then you have this gravity effect and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, what about helium balloons? And well, how do you get into space then? And then this is the best part and how it relates to this pressurized system, is you say, well, how do you get into space? People are floating around in space. Where's the gravity? And then they go, well, you see, the farther you get away from the center of the planet, the gravity becomes weaker and weaker and weaker until there's like no gravity no more. And then you go, well, we're orbiting around the sun and the moon's orbiting around us through gravity. So how is there these little or smaller things that are in between weightless? Wouldn't they be sucked to the moon or sucked to the earth? Well, no, you just don't know your science. And here's the best part. So you're telling me the farther you get away from the ground, the weaker gravity is. So the farther you get away from ground, the weaker the gravity is. But somehow it's still holding the air to the earth. Wait a second. If I go up 50,000, 100,000 feet, there's less and less and less gravity, but it's still holding the air to the earth. As it spins 1,000 miles an hour, mind you. You cannot have a pressurized system like we have without a container. Can't happen. Can't happen. Gravity is not a container. Gravity is not even a force. It's just someone creating some BS to try and make their heliocentral model look plausible. That's all there is to it. Gravity is not even a theory. Gravity is just an explanation for something that they observed. There's no way you can test gravity. You cannot introduce any variables into gravity. It's just like dark matter. It's completely made up out of nothing. We'll call it gravity. Why do things fall to the ground? We'll call it gravity. And here's the thing is that no one really knows why things fall down, right? We know density and buoyancy. But why don't things fall any other different direction? Why do they fall downward? And the science into that seems to indicate a weak static electric charge that the ground has, where things are naturally attracted to it. And we can prove that, sort of. I mean, it's not proven, but there is evidence that anybody can do to prove that, where you can levitate things. If you put an electrical current through like a little tinfoil flyer and you've got a couple of wire leads to it and you give it a positive charge, it will levitate. Just like if you had magnets and you reversed or put the poles together, it'll make them levitate. And it will levitate anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are on the earth. It will levitate anywhere. But it's not very much. It'll only levitate the thing like a half inch or something. But it seems to me that what is causing it to levitate if it's not an electromagnetic force? So there's evidence to that. I mean, personally, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Things fall down. That's good enough for me. It's not gravity doing it. There's no such thing as gravity. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And nobody can prove it exists. Now, see, when people say, well, you're dumb, you don't believe in gravity, it's like, well, prove it exists. Should be easy. Prove the earth is a spinning ball. Should be easy. Nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. They've been calling free fall gravity. Well, no. There's a lot of different reasons for that, but nah. They can call anything gravity. That whole nonsense of like the Earth being stuck to the sun, and then the moon being stuck to the Earth, and everything has this little magical dance through space. That's absolute nonsense. In other news, anyone have anything else? Any good topics here? Otherwise, you know, I was only going to go for like a half hour or something like that. I will toot my horn a little bit. You guys know where I'm going with that. I have the 1 month chart up for Bitcoin. Anyways, I think it was around there, around 31,000, around 30,000. And I said, Bitcoin's at a hard bottom. It's not going to go any lower. So if you're ever going to buy any, there you go. It's up 64.79% as of July 21st. So 1 month. So in relating this to dollar values, if you had put $1,000 in, you'd have $1,650. If you would have put $10,000, you'd have $16,500. And if you'd put $100,000 in, you'd have $165,000. Just investing in Bitcoin. The absolute safest of bets, but, you know, you're into something like Solana, which is up 240%, you kind of get where I'm going with this stuff. Yeah, put in 10 grand and you walk away with quite a bit more. Mainlanders here. How's it going, man? We've been talking variety of topics, all about Elon Musk and gravity. This is probably the most fun topic, probably not the most appropriate for this channel. There hasn't been a whole lot going on as I'm poking around with you know, people out there trying to be heretics. Although I did post a video on my other channel and I caught up with Austin Whitsitt again, who I jumped onto for teaching Hebrew roots. And I had said at one point in time that, you know, it's really weird. This guy comes out of nowhere and is big flat earth guy, and all of a sudden he's a big master scholar at Hebrew root, work salvation, and all of these correct little, you know, we got to do the Hebrew translations and we got to do all this stuff. Like he's been doing this his whole life. And I just thought it was really weird. And I go, is there some kind of a Freemason CIA op thing going? I don't get it. It's very, very strange. And the last video that I did over there was about good old Austin was demonstrating or doing his thing over at Mount Rushmore. And they didn't, the park police didn't like him, you know, someone complained about him or something. So they hassle Austin and throw him in the car. But the live stream was still going, and a little bit into it, the cop went to Austin's traveling companion and asked him how long he'd worked for the government. So it turns out that I was probably right about my conclusions about the whole thing. And if you want to see that, that's over on Just Plain Science. So anyways, I don't think that we'll see too much from Hebrew rootin' heretic guy, flat earth guy, getting people into work salvation. How's it going, Jack? Yeah, we need to stay on topic now. Jack's gonna keep me in charge. Biggest flat earth guy in Brazil just said that Paul the Apostle was married. You've got to be talking about that nutcase Nazi guy. Eric Dubé, is that who you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I think that the old flat earth sort of movement has been entirely, almost completely co-opted, because you have a whole bunch of people, with the exception of Dave Weiss, who actually has money, right? But you have a whole bunch of people like Austin Whitsitt used to detail cars, and he didn't get paid to do it. I mean, he didn't work at a company getting a regular paycheck to do it. He just kind of did it when he felt like it and called it his own business, right? So you had a bunch of poor guys who it's like no skin off their back to go live on the road. They don't have responsibilities, nothing to go out and go do flat earth. But they're probably pretty easy to say, all right, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, we'll talk to you here and there, and, you know, we'll keep you going. We'll give you like 10 grand a month. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. you know, and I think that a lot of that has happened with a lot of these flat Earth guys. Just all of a sudden, well, I think I really feel the need to talk about Hebrew roots and working for salvation and all this, and it's like, oh, and then they get into flat Earth because of the Bible and stuff, and then you're gonna go to Hebrew roots. It's like, well, you didn't know your Bible. Bacon Toast says the big news right now is Afghanistan and the sniffles. Yeah, I did a video on Afghanistan. I don't know if any of you guys saw it or if what you guys think of it, or if you remember, if you're as old as me, if you remember that I think it was like 2008 or something, where we're really in Afghanistan, which surprisingly coincided right around the time that the old housing market and the stock market fell and collapsed. Just surprised it's the same time we're in Afghanistan. But after being there for like a year or two, all the news was coming out that the army was growing drugs. And they were paying the people, and all the farmers there were supposed to plant poppies, and they're selling and collecting drugs. And that's what they did. So all of this nonsense about leaving Afghanistan, it was like obviously a 20-year plan. And whatever their goal was, they completed and finished their goal. But the entire time they were there, that's what they were doing, is growing drugs. And it's not a secret. It's not Max Bauer's opinion. The articles are all over the place. There are pictures of soldiers in there, thumbs up with their poppy fields and all this, and they're guarding poppy fields. Okay? Afghanistan, when the quote-unquote terrorists were in charge, the really, really hardcore Muslim tribes, there was no opium coming from Afghanistan. None. And then America comes in, and like 90% of all opium comes from Afghanistan. And like, there's also lithium mines, and I forget what else is there, but a lot of valuable stuff. That's why Russia wanted it. And that's why Britain wanted it. And apparently even Alexander the Great couldn't take over Afghanistan. So yeah, if Alexander the Great, Britain in the prime of its world empire can't take Afghanistan, Russia can't take Afghanistan, especially Russia, because Russia is like right next door. They can just drive their stuff in there. There's no big have to march armies thousands of miles or anything. They just drive over there. None of these guys can take out Afghanistan, and yet America thinks they're going to do it. And it's like, no, America never had the intention of doing anything in Afghanistan except securing poppy fields and maybe some lithium. And that's what they did. And now I guess they don't need people addicted to opium anymore, because now they got the jab, so they can get rid of people like that now, I guess. What do I think is going to happen with the gene therapy? Well, they're going to keep releasing booster shots, and everyone's going to forget about why they were even taking them in the first place, because they already got their stuff. I don't know. Hopefully people will start dying. Yeah. It's the only thing that's going to take, it might sound cold, but number one, they volunteered for it. Number two, the information is beyond out there. Okay, the information is on mainstream news about how dangerous these things are. Everything is out there, so you're asking for it. Okay, and if some people start checking out, maybe some more eyes will open. Maybe it will actually take that. A lot of people, that the whole anti-jab thing, going back to the last 20 years, because they really ramped it up after the Gen Xers got out of the being in high school and stuff like that. They just really ramped up vaccinations all around the board. And it wasn't until people started getting injured, because they're shooting these kids up with like 30, 40 shots. As soon as they pop out, we're going to give them 15 shots. And then, a month later, we'll give them another 15 shots. And then 6 months later, we'll give them another 15 shots. And, some of these things, they're like anti-STD deals, right? Like the newborn baby, and you need an anti-STD. So there's some craziness involved in there. It wasn't until, the people you see in the Vax documentary things, the people that you see in there talk about how they never believed anything like that until it happened to me. It's a standard story. And then they actually, when they see the effects firsthand, and that's just how people are, is they're like, well, it's a small chance. It's funny how when you look at risk, it's like, oh, it's a small chance of getting hurt by it. But it's like, you realize in order to even get sick, especially die from Cooties, has always been, okay, and I repeat it all the time. I was saying the exact same number a year and a half ago, guys. It's like 99.007%, survivability or something like that. I mean, 99.0007. Yeah, it's like out of 1 million people, you've got a couple hundred people that have problems that always have 2.5 comorbidities. But, if only 2% of people that get the gene vax die, then that's good. It's only 2%. It's like you realize that 2% is a pretty big number. Nah. Unfortunately, they're gonna have to, people. This is why insurance exists, is so that people think they don't have to worry about anything or just go watch Netflix or something. Insurance. Well, what do you think insurance is going to give you when you can't walk? Is that really worth anything? Insurance going to give you if you die of a heart attack because you got blood clots, right? I mean, you think they push this stuff on the lowest paid denominations first, right? We went to Dollar Tree, and in Minnesota they're trying to push all the masking stuff again. Well, the only places where they're actually instituted the places that have to wear masks are the absolute lowest of the lowest paying jobs. They figure they can mess with those people, right? The Dollar Tree people have it, the grocery store people, right? The lowest of the lowest paid they can mess with. And then they're going to go after the nurses and all this other stuff. And it's like, you think that the hospital is going to pay your bills if they, paralyze you or kill you or whatever? No, they're not taking any responsibility unless you make them take responsibility. That's how it is. John Paley, they've always been about protecting the individual. Now it's about protecting others. Well, the whole thing is a massive, it's a brain deboggle, and there's no point in even discussing it because it's just quite simply, it's retarded. All right. I know a lot of people, they don't like that word. Well, hey, guess what? I'm a Gen Xer, and that's what I use. It grew up retarded. If you do something stupid and you're obviously smarter than the way you're behaving, you're acting retarded. Perfect use of the word. And people that see the clips about how, hey, there is no test for any of these things that they say they're testing for. Hey, these are experimental gene therapy things that have never been proven to do anything except kill animals. Huh. And then you still get in line to get your little sticker that says, hey, I'm a good slave. If you still do it, you deserve what you get. And that's just how it is. Just how it is. Jack, your computer's working. Jack, I just upgraded my computer. My stuff finally showed up from Asia there. I'm pretty happy. It almost didn't make it. I actually canceled the order and then it showed up anyway. Oh, gotta mention too, as opposed to, in what I'm involved in now, I'm watching a lot of prices, to say the least. I'm watch crypto news and headlines that would affect the markets all day long. When I'm not, I'm actually physically changing prices on food and groceries and stuff you would find at, convenience stores and stuff. All right. So I'm pretty heavily active in a lot of this. And I've worked in retail for a very long time. I know that when you go to Best Buy and you buy something off the shelf at Best Buy pays 30 to 50% of what you're paying. Okay. So just so you know, if you think you're getting a good deal, the store paid half what you think you're getting a good deal on. And in turn, the person who made it for half that. So they could make 50% profit on the store. just so you get an idea of what things are worth. This is why all of your stuff breaks after 6 months of use. Junk. But I wanted to point out that we're getting into a point here where money has a little bit more buying power, actually, or it will. Because it takes the stores, because people shop on Amazon, right? Everyone shops on Amazon. Everything, oh my gosh, they got everything I need on Amazon. Let's just go there and order it, and it shows up. As soon as I click the order button, it shows up at the door, right? Everyone loves it. Well, if China shuts down, Amazon's going to be more expensive than every place else, guys. I've already seen it. Already seen it at the hardware store in something as simple as blue painter's tape. That this is a local hardware store where everything is 15 to 20% more at my local hardware store than any place else, because it's a local hardware store, and everybody knows what I mean by that. So I go there and I'm just getting miscellaneous stuff for the garage, and I'm like, oh, painter's tape, well, $4.75. I mean, that seems a little high for, it's good 3M tape though, right? You want to get good blue painter's tape, guys, and you get painter's tape. And I'm like, well, $4.75 seems a little high. I have to order off of Amazon anyway because my computer parts disappeared, so I have to reorder, and I'll just order some tape. Well, there was $2 more on Amazon for the same thing. Okay, how is that, right? Because 3M is in Minnesota. 3M is 20 miles. Where they make the tape is 20 miles from where I live. Okay, wouldn't Amazon have a whole warehouse full of this stuff? Amazon's, of course, warehouses in Minnesota. They have warehouses all over the place. So it was $2 more because of shipping from Amazon than it was to go to the hardware store. So even though prices are increasing, it's good to keep an eye out at your local store as compared to Amazon, because I ordered, what did I order? I ordered a guitar effects pedal for $25 on Amazon, and by the time I got it, the thing came from Germany, I think. So they had to pay customs on that, which I'm sure they didn't make any profit. We'll just put it that way. But then when I had to go write a review, or if they asked me if I want to review it, I checked the price and it was $55 instead of $25. It was in the mail for like 3 days, right? Just letting you know. Good time to do garage sailing. We've been doing garage sailing over the summer, and we're getting, a lot of stuff, filling up the stores, plan for the future. I mean, you're looking at buying things and it's like, yeah, well, I can't justify the money because, it's X amount of dollars and you don't know if you're going to need it. Well, if you go to a garage sale, you can kind of just buy everything, because you go to some of these sales where they just want to get rid of stuff and they just throw a 10-cent sticker on everything, right? And then if you buy it and don't use it, who cares? Throw it in the trash can. Okay. Good ideas to do. Of course, the best idea is to invest in Bitcoin. That is your best idea. But we won't get too far into that. Bacon Toast says, I heard Amazon is opening up department stores. Yes. And they're going to probably go broke doing that. I think the only reason they're doing that is because they know that the supply chain is going to be wiped out. And, we'll see what that looks like. We'll see what that looks like. But the thing is that the reason that Amazon is successful and can do the things that it can do at the price it can do is because it does not have stores. Stores are a tremendous waste of money if you can do everything online. And yeah, Bezos isn't the captain of the ship anymore. So I guess the new guy wants to go open stores, which is a really, really dumb idea. I know, unless they're all government funded and that's going to be your government gulag supply warehouse for your communist takeover, then yeah, I suppose they're going to do that. But they're not going to be like a Dayton's. Ain't going to be like that. Ain't going to be like that. So yeah. That's about what I've got. If anyone is interested in crypto, you can go over to Just Plain Crypto. And that's where I got my crypto channel going. Government gulag communist supply store. Yeah, well, what do you think it's going to be, Bacon Toast? I mean, Walmart obviously didn't have its stuff together. They tried that. They had like movie theaters in the parking lot, and I know like Chad had reported on that and filmed that, where they're trying to do like trying to get the government money for being a FEMA camp, right? They're like, oh, look, government officials, see, we got a movie theater, and over here we can have a delousing station, and over here we can do this and that, and we'll sell hot dogs. I guess they Walmart didn't quite cut it. Order out of chaos, Jack. I don't know. We're waiting for the chaos. I don't think there's going to be chaos. I don't know. I don't think that people are going to put up much of a fight. I don't think there's going to be any chaos. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of people that will follow the lemming train into the ocean. And there's going to be me standing there going, huh. How about that? Your dogs will still be bringing in money in 2 years, Frank? Yeah. Yeah, learning new skills and finding alternate ways to make money. And anyone who's out there who's on they're always talking about cutting off the cootie package for unemployment. They're talking about doing that. They're probably not. They're probably just going to pay everybody money to keep the economy going. Probably what it's going to do. And as soon as you get that check, if you still got a job, put that check into Bitcoin. You would have put a check into Bitcoin a month ago, you'd be up 60%, 65%. And I'm going to remind people that Bitcoin is the slowest, safest, absolute rock solid bet that everyone should own at least a little bit. If you like crypto and you want to be involved in the markets, 60% is a lowball number in a bull market, where, even Ethereum is like 100%, and a lot of smaller ones are like, 200, 300% in a month. Just putting it out there. Jeez, Frank, your dogs must be kind of tired of all that money you're raking in. Give them a break. Jack's already talking about boating accidents. Well, I'll also briefly mention that is that, certain organizations only know about things that you decide to tell them, and you are under no legal obligation to tell them. New thing on the forums these days, asking you about what kind of crypto you have and if you own crypto. Well, guess what? They don't have any jurisdiction. None of their business. None of their business at all. So yeah, they did a census report one time that went to court, and that got thrown out, where the census would show up, and all you have to check on your census is how many people are in your house, because all they're doing is counting people. Okay. But then there'd be a second section that'd be like, how many guns do you have? Who do you think you're voting for? All this other crap. And you don't have to put this down there, but just because they pose the question doesn't mean you have to answer it. You understand what I'm saying? It's legal for anybody to ask you anything, right? Well, unless it's a corporation and HIPAA, which should clue you in a little bit. Huh? How come you're not wearing a mask? HIPAA. Are you trying to get my private medical information? Okay, guys. Yeah. They can put all that stuff on a form, and if you're dumb enough to fill it out, there's this thing called the fifth. Plead the fifth. Your right to remain silent. And the connotation is that, well, you're not going to talk because you're guilty. And it's like, no, you're not going to talk because you're not going to give them something that they can use against you. And they will use everything against you. And people just think that that's a court of law thing. No, it's everything. Everything, everything. You didn't have like a nosy neighbor who told everything to everybody else. You didn't have nosy people in high school, right? So people are. They never tell anybody nothing. Especially, you know, when it comes to crypto, the Federal Reserve, their jurisdiction is Federal Reserve notes, US dollars. You're operating in pesos and you're operating in cryptos. It's none of their business until you transfer that crap to Federal Reserve notes. All right? And you never will have to. Because Amazon is, you're going to be able to pay Amazon in crypto. You're going to be able to pay all sorts of services in the upcoming year with crypto. You'll never have to use Federal Reserves if you don't want to. Personally, I'm still going to use it because it's trash compared to crypto. But yeah, it's out of their jurisdiction. Ooh. What kind of dogs are they, Frank? No, I don't know. I just haven't been saying anything, Jack, because I asked Frank what kind of dogs he had. He probably said, and I just missed it. Golden Retriever and White Lab. Yeah? I'm always partial to German Shepherds, but that's okay. You Canadians can have your weak dogs. We'll take the strong dogs in America. Big old American flag on my German Shepherd. My dog's really good at rocketry. All right. That's what we got. Anyways, you know, I German Schnauzer. Yeah. Or an H&K. I'm not really familiar with a Corgi. Yeah, any kind of a dog is good, even a little one. Now, if you want to protect your stuff, just having something that barks anytime anything's amiss or something shows up at the door. Saves you a lot of money on security systems that don't work and the people, you know, spy on you through the security system. It's like, yeah, just get a dog. Very simple. Very simple. No one's ever going to break into your house if they know you have a dog. Not going to happen. Not unless you're like a bajillionaire and they're pro, right? That's the reason. That's literally why we have a dog. Okay, dogs are man's best friend. Yeah, my dog's okay. I like my dog. You know, they all have their personalities and whatnot. She's not much of a killer. She just kind of thinks she is. The kind of one that'll run really hard and pull the leader and pull the chain and pull it off the house and roar, roar, roar. I'm real tough. I'm real tough. Well, when her chain breaks and she actually gets up to whatever she's mad at and barking at, then she just sits there and is like, well, I thought I didn't think the chain would break. I was going to make a whole big scene and be a tough guy, like, you know, ooh, hold me back. But then the chain broke, so I look dumb now. Now I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for Max to come out and get me because I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I've never been the road before either. It's pretty different, right? That's my dog. That's a good one. As long as she barks when, you know, we make fun of the mail guy and the UPS person, whoever delivers packages, they're like a ninja. They never bother the dog. Dog never catches them unless they're outside. But beyond that, we're all safe. We're all safe. All right. That's what I got. So, like I said, we're testing stuff, just kind of poking around with different things and hanging out on the moon, talking about Elon Musk. And, you know, they're rolling around as we already knew that they were going to do. They're going to try and push, you know, muzzles for everybody, and they're going to try and push this and that. And it's like, well, people are talking about this stuff all over the place in all the different stores. If you're like a minimum wage employee someplace, you're probably forced to wear a muzzle because they can get away with it. That's just what they do. The lower you are in the totem pole of the spectrum of the economy, the more they want to mess with people. But people are talking about it all over, and we're out and around, and complaining about it. This isn't right, and how much none of it makes sense. And essentially, it's like where people, you guys who listen to me, where we were all at when the whole thing started, right? So they're just kind of coming around. And just maybe some positivity for the future, but then again, maybe they'll get their booster shot. You never know. We'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'll just say, eggs keep for a long time. Look at the clearance rack for canned goods and stuff like that at the grocery store and stock up a little bit, because who knows what's going to happen with the prices of stuff. I literally raise prices sometimes twice in a week, okay? And it's not by small increments. It's like 15% at a time. So up by 15% at the beginning of the week, up another 15% by the end of the week. That's 30%. But then you cover it up with a sale sign, right? So instead of a normal price of $2.99, now it's a normal price of $3.69, but it's still on sale for the same price. Or actually, sometimes they actually raise the sale price too, but just let you know, that's how they trick you. It's not until you figure out, you look at your bill and you didn't buy anything out of the ordinary and it's 20% more that you really notice. So yeah, check out Butcher Box or your local farmer's market for food. Yeah, farmer's markets are getting slammed because everyone's crops died. We didn't have anything really this year. But yeah, definitely look for places for meat, because chicken is like skyrocketed for whatever reason. I don't know why. We have the world's largest chicken grower people, Golden Plump. That's another one that's about a half hour from where I live, 45 minutes. But chicken is like $3.50 a pound or something. It's never been that ridiculously high. I mean, that's like getting up to steak prices. So whatever reason there. Anyways, yeah, get stuff on sale and stock up a little bit. And in all, of course, put your faith in God and, just let people do what they're going to do. And don't go looking for fights on stuff, okay? Don't go looking for fights. People want to go get their gene therapy. They just be like, dude, you've seen that people get hurt from that, right? And they go, oh, yeah, I know, it's a small part. And they go, okay, bye. Well, that's what you can do. And just kind of look after you for a little bit. Show me the truth, the deep freeze. Yeah. I thought it would be way worse last year. But we did get a freeze. We had a freezer, and immediately when we started filling it up with stuff, it crapped out. Like a week after we put like $100 worth of stuff in it, it crapped out. And it was a fairly new freezer. So everybody else had the same idea too, so it was almost impossible to get a freezer. But now we've got one. They're definitely worth it. So definitely worth having. All right. Well, that is what we got. Sorry, it wasn't very exciting. I didn't have anything special. My goal for today was actually to live stream on all of my different channels, but we went garage sailing and I had to work and put my computer together and all sorts of stuff. So probably this weekend we'll be doing some things. And thanks everyone for showing up. Please do, if you're interested at all in crypto, go to Just Plain Crypto for my other channel. I started it a week ago, and like sub or hit likes or do whatever on there so it gets some traffic, so it actually gets recommended to people, because it's a really, really, really slow start otherwise. And so that's what we got. Everyone take care and God bless. And, we'll see you soon. Now that my setup is all rigged together and everything is flowing, it's a little bit, it's not such a big deal to set up a stream, so that's good. And Jack, you stay frosty. Mainlander Bacon Toast, show me the truth. Frank, yeah, everybody have a good one. We're going to be